Hi, I'm John and welcome back to my layer of action figures. So today's going to be a bit of another video. I'm going to be testing something new and I'm going to be doing every Sunday a kind of a recap of the week of what came out, what I'm interested in, some stuff that I'm maybe not interested in also, and I wanted to talk about certain items that, like I said, came out from different manufacturers. So today we're going to be starting, of course, by Hasbro, then we'll be moving on to Super7, then we'll be moving back to Hasbro for some Star Wars stuff, and we're going to be finishing by Sideshow for the Star Wars items also. So stay tuned and have a look right to the end of the video so you will see all the news that I have to talk about. So sadly, we have to start by some bad news because Hasbro has announced that they're going to be firing 150 people. Now, of course, I do not know if this is only US or is it going to be worldwide. I guess it could be worldwide. But again, this is something that is really disappointing because I do not like people being fired. Now, the reason of the firing is what is disturbing me because they're talking about the tariffs and the slowing down of the merchandise sale. Now, the tariffs, this is a bit BS because if you have been following, I'm not talking about Hasbro Pulse in Europe, but if you've been following around Hasbro in the US, you will see that all the prices haven't moved. We're not going to go into the validity of tariffs, not working. Politics wins everything it touches, so we don't want to win, and we're here to focus on the business part, on our love for the hobby of collecting action figures and talking about them. So if we're talking about the action figures and we are looking at the prices for the Hasbro G.I. Joe figures or any other figures haven't gone up. They're still at $24.99. Of course, we're not talking about deluxe versions or any kind of special version, but the prices seem to be standing out. Now, one of the big problems about them saying that's a tariff, Chuck got word this week from Entertainment Earth distribution line that we'll be getting my figures that were promised to come in June or July, and that they will be going back to the regular price and not at the inflated price with tariffs. So this makes me wonder, if you're saying that it's a tariff, the reason you're firing people, is that not a bit BS and firing and using the tariff as an excuse to fire them? Now, regarding the drop of your sales, maybe you need to revise a bit how you sell your products. I mean, you're the ones who are blocking shops buying your products. You do not care about the small shops or other businesses that want to purchase. Take a look at Hasbro in Europe. Hasbro is not selling most of their figures to any big toy shops or any big companies, the equivalent of Walmart or this kind of stuff. We're talking in France, Leclerc, Auchan, or other places, Migros or Coop in Switzerland. We have very little. I mean, I'm in Switzerland. If I want to order something from Hasbro Pulse, I need to order it from the US, or I have to order it from Hasbro Pulse Europe and get it shipped to a French address and go and pick it up because they're not selling to Switzerland, who I find is totally ridiculous because not even 20 kilometers away from where I live in Delémont, there is a Hasbro has their branch over there. I mean, it is mind-blowing how Hasbro is taking decisions after decisions, going into movies, selling the movie at loss. Now they're saying they want to go into video games. I mean, it's ridiculous. Try to stay on target. You are doing toys. Focus on doing toys and go from there. And stop taking your collectors or the people who buy your products for fools because they can see through this BS and they don't like it. And fans that are taken for granted will know it and they will move on and go and collect something else or should stop and sell everything they have. And this is not good for business, Hasbro. So take that into consideration. And also, when we're talking about these problems, we're going to be jumping into another subject, who is the fan stream of June. So, of course, the first one was kind of okay-ish. The second one, well, it got cancelled half an hour before. And then we got this pre-recorded video, because I do not believe it was live, and I don't mind. I prefer to have something recorded and get something than not getting anything. But here, there was an interview between Lenny and somebody at Skybound. I'm sorry, I did not pick up the name. I have purchased the Energon Universe G.I. Joe comics. The Duke, Destro, there's Baroness and Cobra Commander, I think. And I tried to read them. I had a lot of pain going through them. I do not like the drawings, so it does not really work. Good job you see this, spoiler alert, because if you jumped in the video without seeing that, there's a lot of spoilers going around. But the fact that I do not really care about this universe, I would be passing on. So if you really think this is a kind of a non-event, and if you're trying to bound your comics with your products, try to make some cards to go with it, some file cards. It would be great, because this is something that is really missing with the G.I. Joe universe. I understand that you cannot sell certain products if you don't have the language of the country, but should put it online and people can go and download and print out if they want those file cards, and that would be the best thing to do. So I don't understand why you're not doing that. So this is a bit of a shame, and like I said, not everybody does read the comic books. I understand that you're trying to launch a new universe, a shared universe that I really do not like, because I'm sorry, I do not think that Transformers has anything to do in G.I. Joe. I respect the people who do want to see it, but let's be honest, G.I. Joe Transformers has nothing to do in this comic book. It's a bit like having the Punisher and Thor. Thor lifts up his hammer and Punisher is gone. It's reduced to oblivion because he would be struck by lightning. So this is the same thing with G.I. Joe versus Transformers. This is not even a fair fight. So yeah, do not really like what they're doing. Now, of course, if we're going on the basics of the recaps, the videos that they're going to do, the fan streams, we should be getting one on the 24th of June, who should be the last one for the month of June, and normally we should be getting the reveal of the HasLab vehicle. So I've done some speculations, what I think it could be. Of course, there's another vehicle that I would have liked to see in this format, in 6-inch, and that would be the Tomahawk, because if you really think about it, it's about the same length as the Dragonfly. It will make a nice vehicle, but I don't think that it would be a smart move from Hasbro to dish out the Tomahawk just after they did one other helicopter. So I would be likely to see the Whale. If you want to go and check out that video, you can go and check it out. I did a whole video about it, so you can go and check it out. Now, the only thing who came of interesting out of this was these guys over here. So we got a digital render. Now, is it a bit ridiculous because we already did get a preview of these guys? But the reason why they're talking about Beachhead is because he appears in the comic book. And also there's certain things who do not make sense in the explanation, how a tier 1 group operates. So it doesn't really work. But anyway, we're not diving into that military part. We'll be talking about it when the figures come out. Now, what are my thoughts about these figures? Now, I did give thought, but now that I have a kind of a bigger image to have a look at it, I must say that over here, I'm kind of disappointed. Now, I understand that this was the 2005 version of Beachhead, who came in a pack with Action Man, who was the Toys R Us exclusive, if I'm not mistaken, and it also came with the Hydrophile, who was also painted differently in the G.I. Joe colors. So he was one of the drivers who was with him, and they wanted to go with this kind of pattern camo over here. Then they went on for a kind of a digital render. Now, I would have preferred to have a camo who would be digital all over the place. As we can see, this is the retro version of Beachhead who's been repainted. So you're getting mostly the same gear as what you had in the retro figure. Now, the one who's interesting, if we can say like this, it's going to be this guy over here. Quick Kick was never done in the Night Force version, so it is nice seeing another figure. Would make sense that you're going to have some kind of silent intruder somebody who who uses kung fu or any kind of martial art, who is doing stealth operations, it would make sense that you would have him in the Night Force. Now, when I'm looking at him, of course, he does not come with a chocolate bar. Most of the other accessories are there with it. Now, when I'm looking at the figure, I can see, of course, a lot of reused parts. As you can see, this is the vest over here. This one is the one that is given to Grunt in the G.I. Joe Classified series, so it's a reuse. I do not mind having it. I like the fact that he seems to have some markage, some camo markage, but let's be honest, I would have liked to see some camo markage on the arms, on the torso, because if you're running around and you're trying not to be seen and trying to blend in, I'm not convinced bare skin like that is the best way of doing it. Now, of course, like I said, most of these items are with the regular figure. I already did the review for this guy. Now, there's some extra accessories like this mask. I think it's given with the Blue Ninjas. I haven't done a review, but I will be doing a review. Then we have certain stuff that I really do not understand. Sniper rifle. Why? These guys are not expert snipers. These are more kick-ass guys, so why would they have a sniper rifle? The only good part about this sniper rifle, I can give it to Lowlight and the Mad Marauders, or the Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders, because the weapon that they give him is crap, so this one will do a nice replacement. Here we go again with this stupid FAMAS. I mean, this is not an international force, these are tier 1 operators, and if they would be using weapons, they would be using American-made weapons, so you have AR-15s, M16s, other rifles. If you want to go on to a bit more nostalgic, this is what I was saying, the M16 would make more sense than having the FAMAS, but that's my point of view. Now, another part who's very disappointing with these figures is the Night Force. So Night Force means they operate at night. None of them have any night vision goggles. I mean, you made them for Tunnel Rat, you've been giving them around with the Man Marauders, and you've been also giving it up with the Quarrel and Falcon pack. Why is it not on this pack? It makes sense that it is there. Now, if you look also another part of the Night Force who's not followed through with everyone seems to have a gas mask or some kind of respiration system so that they can go up against the mole rats because it seems to be in the air. These guys don't have it. Okay, maybe let's say there's some kind of filter on this mask, but it doesn't really work out. We could say maybe there's something hidden behind there, but yeah. No, this is something who's a bit of a shame. And like I was saying, we already got this, and here we have the one that we got before. And as you can see, it's already packaged, so this means there's no chances that Hasbro is going to be adding anything to these figures. So that's a bit of a shame. So that's going to be it for my part of G.I. Joe, and stay tuned. I will be certainly doing a video on the 24th of June to give my thoughts and recaps about what's coming out. Now let's go into the G.I. Joes of Super 7. So let's dive into Super 7. So the Joe Fest is happening, and of course Super 7 has a booth over there. So they're presenting some figures that are going to be coming out. There's also some announcements of some San Diego Comic-Con exclusive and some other parts. So the next wave of Super 7 reaction O-Wings type figures, we're going to be getting Lieutenant Falcon, who has a bit of an inspiration from the movie from 1987, I think it was. Where it's with Cobra, so yeah, not a big fan of it. So we get, of course, this Falcon. We get, of course, Jinx, because she was also part of it. Now, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie. Then we get these guys, of course, from anybody who knows, Cobra does not exist for me. This is BS. And I'm not really liking it. Now, of course, the people who like it, this is an interesting figure because Yeah, let's be honest, you could army build it, but when I'm looking at this figure looks pretty bad. Now, the fourth figure in the line would be Cobra Commander, I Was Once a Man, who's an Entertainment Earth exclusive. Now, talking about all these figures, now, if you're interested in these figures, as I have an account with EE Entertainment, of course, it would be something more basically for the people in Europe. If you want me to get this figure, I can get it. My cost is about $21. I have to ship it back from the US to Switzerland and then ship it back to you. So if you're interested, please let me know. The same goes for the other figures around. Now, this is not the only picture that I have. So over here you have a bit of another picture of him with the little spores. So this should be the other way around. If you watch the movie, you know that he breathes in the spores, and that's the reason why he gets deformed and becomes I Was Once a Man version. Now, the little ad over here would have been highly appreciated if Hasbro would have done the same with their classified line. Now, another Cobra Commander repaint. So we're already going into repaints with Super7. What a surprise. I understand that I sound maybe a bit hypocrite due to the fact that the original line of American Heroes figures did have a lot of repaints. But, I mean, over here, we're getting a bit overkill repaint, so there's going to be a Python version of the Cobra Commander. Now, there's not much other Pythons to go around, but I guess you can add them to your other figures. Now, we're going to be talking about some reveals for San Diego Comic-Con. So, of course, we're going to have again a bat with some explosives around, put on a comic book card over there. Why not? And then you're going to have Serpentor, the one from the Dick cartoon series lines. Why not? We already got the regular one, so this is just again another repaint and some extra gear over here. So yeah, not much interested. As you know, my point of view about Super 7, but let's get on to the biggest flop of the year. And it's going to be this. Finally getting some new Ultimate Super 7 G.I. Joe figures. Now, you know my thoughts about it, and I'm going to be reviewing the ones I purchased. Here again, we have a stupid, cheap repaint of the original figures that came out. As you can see over here, we have Flint, so mostly this comes with the original Flint. As you can see, they didn't even waste their time of making the cap in the same color. You should have the regular head, so how cheap is that? You cannot go on to making a different head sculpt, put the other ones in, put a gray cap on. It's really ridiculous. Then we have Python Destro, who really hurts my eyes when I'm looking at all this kind of patterns on it. I have my eyes who are bleeding out right now looking at it, but again, it is a cheap garbage repaint. So these are only available from Super 7. Now, Super 7 has decided to go with the tariff prices, and instead of selling these guys for $55, now they're $65. So at $55, they didn't sell. I can imagine at $65 they're not going to sell, and they're just going to end up in clearance, or maybe they should produce such a low number that it's going to sell out really fast. I don't know. I do not care. Sorry about it, but those figures are total garbage. Now, let's have a look at Hasbro Star Wars stuff. Now, let's talk a bit about Hasbro Star Wars figures. Now, I know I haven't done anything about the Hasbro Pearls or even the Hasbro Star Wars things. I will be giving you feedback. I will do my thoughts about it, and let's talk about Star Wars Black Series and all the rest that goes on. So, now if we're going to be taking a look, so of course they also did a fan stream for this Hasbro Pulse new items who are coming out. So of course they decided to release in the Star Wars line of the 3¾ inch figures a bunch of snowtroopers. Now, why would you do that? I mean, this doesn't make sense. They should be coming out pretty soon, so I guess they're on the water right now, or they're in the port of Los Angeles and going to be quickly shipped out to the people. Now, the set comes to $54.99. That means $13.75 a figure. Of course, you should be adding taxes plus the shipping cost if you're not a Hasbro Pulse premium member, so you don't get free shipping. So that could be something that you should be taking into account. So those figures will be roughly a bit more expensive. Again, we have already seen these guys over and over, and that's the reason why I'm not picking these up. I have them in 1/6 scale from Sideshow and Hot Toys. So yeah, not going to be the most interesting pack for me. I mean, yeah, not really that interested in these figures over here. So of course, this is because all these packs are Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So if you're interested in this, you might want to pick them up. But again, for me, the point of having these figures would be to be able to interact with some of maybe Rebel troopers, maybe some vehicles. I mean, Hasbro, when you're bringing out this kind of stuff, if you wanted to sell, put something that motivates the selling, because personally, I do not care. I have so many of these in different forms and variations, and yeah, not interested at all. Now, the one I'm interested in, and that's the reason I made this video, and I wanted to include this, is because we're getting the tie advance from Darth Vader with the Darth Vader in the line of vintage collection. Now, of course, this is a little interior of the ship. I mean, I played X-Wing, I played TIE Fighter on my PC, loved the simulation, and let's be honest, the Star Wars battles in space are really awesome. Now, there's a little piece of accessory, if you can say, that you can replace with a bit of a battle damage. That's not going to happen. Of course, you get Darth Vader as a figure to go with it. So I do like the fact that you get in different hands, and the fact of giving the possibility to make him hold the flight panel. That is something that I really like in the figures. So yeah, I do like that part of the figure. Of course, I'm a sucker for this kind of packaging. If they do it, there's high chances that I'm going to be picking it up. So yeah, this one I did pre-order it. It's $139.99 plus shipping. It is also a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. Now, jumping into the regular figures from the Black Series, we have the Ronin figure over here. I do not care at all about these expanded universes, and I do not find these figures interesting at all. Now, here's another figure that is coming out in Black Series that I'm not interested. It looks nice. It is the Temple Guards that you should see a bit in the Rebel TV show. The Grand Inquisitor should be part of this, but as I said, the figure looks kind of nice, but I do not care about these guys. Now, this one here is a bit of a more interesting figure, and this is, of course, Barry Sophie. Now, of course, there's a lot of cloth. I think they made her before, but I'm getting lost with how many versions have came out with these figures. So yeah, the figure itself looks interesting. I do like the figure, the character itself, with her master, who's Hinduli, I can't remember her name. So yeah, I put it in the description over here, but her master was also interesting, and she was kind of best friends with Ahsoka. Well, I'm not going to, well, anyway, it's not really a spoiler. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, you know she turns, and there's some tales of her on the dark side because she turns to the dark side. So yeah, figure looks pretty neat, and it's something of interesting. Again, like Hot Toys is right now doing a lot of figures for the Jedi Order. So are we going to get her in 1/6? If I can get her in 1/6, I'm not going to pick up this Black Series item. Now, over here, we're going into these garbage repaints for Halloween. Now, it's not my kind of cup of tea, and I really don't like. So we have an Asajj Ventress with a broomstick as a witch. So I don't know if you want to call it wicked kind of inspiration, but yeah, do not care. Then we have another one, the Royal Guard, who glows in the dark, who's Target exclusive. Of course, these figures can be picked up from, of course, Hasbro Pulse Europe, because we don't have Target or Walmart, but this is going to be at Target for the people in America, so this one might be going in clearance. As you can see, it glows in the dark. Yeah, yoop-de-doo, do not care at all about these figures. Then afterwards we have this guy who's one of those troopers who are dead, but from their circus. So you can see he is disguised as a mummy, and I guess he want to steal the world from Indiana Jones. You know, the one in the first movie where he has to put the light, and at a certain moment it goes in. Yeah, again, really not interested at all about this figure. Now, this here does speak to me a lot more. Now, this is going to be the Anakin Skywalker Obi-Wan Kenobi for the San Diego Comic-Con. I think it should be, think they're going to be selling it for $140. Of course, this does not include taxes or shipping. And we might be getting some afterwards if they don't sell out everything. But this one, I really do want to pick it up. I think it looks pretty neat. As you can see, there's plenty of accessories on the side. There's the lava fight scene. So yeah, this can be really cool. The head sculpt looks pretty neat. The way this photo print that they do is really nice. Anakin looks pretty good. I must say Obi-Wan Kenobi looks pretty good also. Don't understand why you're still going with the blaster hand. But as you can see, there's some effects of them fighting. You can put them on the droid over there. Here's a nice picture that Hasbro has given us with some light effects on it. I do not believe that there's any light effects on it. But, I mean, I'm looking at this. This could work for me. So, that's going to be it for the Hasbro Star Wars stuff. Let's have a look at Sideshow. So, now we're going to be looking at what Sideshow has announced this week. And we have Spaghetti Wook. So he's the Skiff Guard figure. Now I only took one picture because personally I do like what they do with the Scum and Villainy series. I think they're pretty neat. But let's be honest, this figure should be coming out at the end of 2025 or the first quarter of 2026. And this figure is selling for a suggested retail price of $275 US. And for this price, I can get myself Cassian Andor from Hot Toys, who's going to come with a bit more than 4 hands and his blade. I mean, this is ridiculous. This price, I mean, Sideshow, I like what you're doing, but you're not Hot Toys in quality-wise. I mean, I prefer, if I have to buy one figure for $275, I'm going to go for Cassian Andor or Kit Fisto, who's the same price. He comes with a light-up lightsaber that works with a USB plug. I mean, this is not justified. If you would be selling this figure for $220, $230 max, I would go for it, but never for $275. This is total whip-off on the behalf of Sideshow. So that's going to be my end of the review of this week of what came out this week in action figures. If you like this kind of video, please let me know in the comment section. If you want to see more, let me know about it. Or if you have any suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section. If you want to go and see my daily news, I have also that on Facebook. The links are in the description. Also, subscribe to the channel. It helps out a lot. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!